Yeah, we're good to go. Hey, before we get started, we're here with Nick Bryant, but you asked me how Vegas went. Let me tell you how Vegas went.
What happened? Let me hit the band.
All right, go ahead. Sure. Show number 2. So show 1 goes great. Mm-hmm. Show number 2, for some reason, 50 seats in the front. 50 seats in the front are just completely empty.
Oh, no. Did
And
50 Cent do it to...
Basically exactly what 50 Cent did, except I think it was the venue that kind of got me, because those are like artist tickets that why the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you're supposed to like dole those out.
So I walk out, it's front row's pretty empty. I start doing my little act, and about 10 minutes in, a guy in the balcony just goes, "Fuck you, Shane, you fucking sellout piece of shit. Fuck you. Fuck you." He got kicked out. And I was on stage like, "Oh, fuck am I a sellout? I didn't fucking sell out." What the fuck? I was like, it must have been one of those bastard Saudis. But what the fuck?
What the fuck, dude?
I think he was mad he heard some of that material before.
What do you mean?
I guess he had heard that material. Because I was, of course, that's 10 minutes in. So the rest of the show, I'm just devastated.
Yeah.
Like at first, it didn't quite hit me.
Oh, that would kill me.
And then throughout the show, I was just getting sadder and sadder.
Oh.
And then I get off stage. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Like, I'm talking to everybody. I'm like, what did he mean? How did I fucking tell me how I sold out?
No.
This is the rest of the night. I'm like,
you got Lincoln, dude. It's in the man in the theater.
Pop, dude.
No.
And then Ethan was there. So he was like, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out exactly who that was and what was happening. And I was like, yeah, I sicked my dogs of war upon him, my Jews. Apparently he was like fighting, arguing with security, and he was like, he did that material last time he was here. Fuck yeah, blah, blah. I haven't been to fucking Vegas.
Yeah.
I had like a guest spot on Burt's, which was probably the 15 I opened up with.
Yeah, but
so he probably heard that first 15 and was just like, I'm done with this shit. Fucking sellout. Anyway, so that was catastrophic. It's never really happened. That was a tough one.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. So that was sad.
That was that's definitely one of those formative moments though. Maybe it'll give you a good fired charge.
Yeah.
Or does it just sting? So I like every now and again, you know, I've heard of people doing like poorly on those big giant shows you do.
Yeah.
And they do.
This was a small one.
I was talking when I did terrible on the one time. I was like, that's a real gives you a real formative charge.
I wasn't gonna bring it up.
But afterwards though, I got like a real fire in my belly. But
yeah.
If there was like even like one empty table in the front, I get freaked out. I'm like, why? What is that about?
I was so mad. I was like, what? Why would it's been sold out for a while? Why would you leave like 3 rows?
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the front, and that's all you can see. I'm just kind of talking to no one, and then all of a sudden, a guy in outer space is like, "You fucking suck." Like, shit.
You're like, what was that place Elvis got like stuck in?
Yeah.
What is that place called? What was the theater Elvis got stuck in that he had to perform?
Vegas?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was thinking Fat Elvis the whole time. I love Fat Elvis so much. Fat Elvis coming out. It's like my favorite video ever.
You know what killed him was a heart attack while he was defecating because it was on so many narcotics. It was just.
Oh man, I never realized he was pushing that hard because
he was pushing
the pains.
Yeah, and he was probably also swiveling his hips while he pushed.
Yeah,
those days I think were long gone for Elvis.
True.
I don't know. Did you ever see Fat Elvis in Vegas?
I don't
Unchained
think I have.
Melody is
it's awesome.
Fucking incredible.
So all the Pepsi, or the Cokes, or whatever.
Just he comes out, you're like, oh, this is gonna be terrible.
Is that the thing where he does his karate thing?
He does a little karate up front. That's why everyone's like, Jesus, this guy's done. And then he hits Unchained Melody, and it's just
I did see
holy
that.
shit.
It is awesome.
My thinking on it was he's gone.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Nick, what's going on, man? We were just talking about some disastrous things that happened this weekend, but I'll be all right, you know.
I see you got a Napoleon with Bud Light. I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. My friend's girlfriend paying that for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's new? What's new and
I'd like
shaking?
to get right into this.
Well, you know,
We gotta
I'm
get this,
the guy
all right, never
that
mind.
I'm the guy that you invite when you want to hear about child trafficking and child abuse.
Yeah.
It's really
That's one way to put it.
it's quite a distinction, I got to admit. But I do want to say, when I first met you guys, you were living in, I believe,
Queens.
Brooklyn
Yeah.
or Queens, yeah. And now you've got a sitcom on Netflix, which, if I ever get tired of being a writer, I'm going to aspire to work at a tire shop. I mean, it looks like
We actually have a child trafficking episode.
Oh, really? Wow.
working on
I
it.
got, right
Get you in there.
And then
be a
I saw
consultant.
Matt a couple weeks ago on Netflix, and he enumerated every reason why I've never been married.
Well, thank you, sir.
But I'm glad to be back. Always like to hang out with you guys. Always a good time.
Yeah, it's very nice to have you. This is it's very reminiscent of the Skrilla episode.
Yeah. How so?
Just
Yeah.
polar opposites. Just joking.
I thought he was like, his face isn't covered.
The last time I was on here, I was starting a nonprofit organization called
Remember that?
Epstein Justice. And what we're trying to do is get an independent congressional commission to look at the crimes committed by Epstein. Right now, some legislators are trying to get a bill through, but I don't think it's going to work. It's called a discharge petition. And they need a majority in the House, which they have, but Mike Johnson isn't swearing in this woman who became a representative in Arizona. So if they can get a majority in the House, it can become a bill. It would be Bill 165. And if they can get a majority in the House to vote on an Epstein investigation, then it'll go through Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who is very skeptical. He's not been very positive about an Epstein investigation. And if it can get through him, then it goes to a vote to the Senate. And if it can get through the Senate, then Donald Trump has to sign it into law. And
He's
Donald
definitely
Trump,
not
Oh, he'll sign it.
You should have burned it.
without a doubt.
What's plan B?
So what we're shooting for is an independent congressional commission where we need a majority in the House and we need a majority in the Senate, but we don't need a presidential signature.
Right.
And our plan is to harass legislators until they do the right thing and make sure that, because there's 218 that are willing to vote for this discharge petition. So there is a majority there. And I think that there would be people receptive. It's unfortunate, though, that it's partisan. I mean, all as we want is a simple investigation into child trafficking, Epstein-related child trafficking, but it's become a partisan issue. When you would think that every legislator would want to vote for, yes, we need an investigation into a child trafficking network where no one has been indicted except for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
Anytime like somebody like Thune, who if anybody's like cynical against it, it's like it's kind of it's a weird thing to be against, you know?
Thune, I mean, I look at all these guys that are against it. And I mean, it's really weird.
It's weird to be against that.
That we have congressmen and congresswomen that vote against an investigation into child trafficking. When you think about that.
It's crazy.
Well, it's also, so is the thing I'm always confused about, like, are there really like Epstein papers? Like, I find it hard to believe there's like a giant stack of papers that has a bunch of information about like high power sex offenders that's just sitting in a safe right now that people are like, no, you can't see that. Wouldn't they destroy that?
Well, I released Epstein's Black Book and flight logs
Yeah, remember
in
that.
2015. And all the perps are in that book, and all the perps are on the flight logs. I mean, there's a lot of other people that are named, but there's a lot of perps. And the day after Epstein was arrested, the FBI opened up his safe. And his safe contained
There you go.
discs and discs and discs of underage girls.
Dang.
And also, there were hard drives that were taken too. And the thing about Pam Bondi, she's saying that the FBI just started looking at this stuff a couple of months ago, which is total bullshit. I mean, the FBI and Department of Justice and whoever else was covering up for Epstein, they were looking at that stuff in 2019. It didn't like sit in some dark corner of the FBI. And now we got to look at it 6 years later. So the Trump administration has been guilty of a lot of lies. Pamela Bondi came out and said, yes, it's on my desk and we're going to release names. And then they released it and it was a nothing sandwich. I provided more incriminating information on Jeffrey Epstein and his network in 2015 than Pam Bondi did in 2025.
That's pretty weird, actually, now you say that.
And then she said that she'd been bamboozled by the FBI field office, that they had, because it was such a nothing sandwich. And then she said now she has a truckload of evidence. And she said,
it's never great. Whole truckload of CP.
Yeah, what's the protocol for them watching? Is there like a specific government protocol? You have to literally watch child pornography. Like, how do they do? Is there like a 30-second increment thing, or like how do they do that?
I don't know. They probably hire some pervs or something. It's
There's probably plenty of them in the government. It's perfect.
We got a couple guys that'll volunteer over there.
No, for real, that's like fucked up to have to watch.
Of course.
That. Yeesh.
So
Yeah, it's like life altering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi then said, she keeps digging herself into a deeper and deeper hole. She said only matters related to national security would be redacted. So now she has to tell us what a bunch of child molesters have to do with national security. And then ultimately they put out a memo that no one signed that said that there were 300 gigabytes impounded from Jeffrey Epstein, that there are over 1,000 victims, and that Jeffrey Epstein just downloaded these thousands of hours of pornography from the internet, and he molested over 1,000 victims without any help except from Ghislaine Maxwell. I mean, total bullshit. And Bondi had said earlier that there were videos of Epstein molesting underage girls. So the lies have just kept mounting and mounting and mounting. And I think that that's why this case is being kept alive. One of the reasons why is people want to know the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's also just disappointing because that's like the one thing, because like with the shutdown and everything, it's like they're bickering over this and that, but definitely having sex with children, you'd think they'd kind of pop the mask off and like, all right, we'll get to the bottom of this one. If they're punting that around, it's like, man, these guys really will lie about anything. Sad.
Yeah.
It really shows how degenerate our government is. And then Mike Johnson, who's the House Majority Speaker, he said that, and this is really bizarre, he adjourned the House early so it couldn't vote on Massey's discharge bill, which would have had the representatives vote on whether or not there should be an Epstein investigation. And then we found out that he had an app on his phone called Covenant Eye.
Yeah.
And his son also has Covenant Eye, so they can monitor each other's consumption of pornography. That's our Speaker of the House. And
at least he wasn't there, probably. That's fair.
Or
maybe that's where
was he?
changes.
That could cut both ways.
Yeah, true. Get back from the trip, be like, look, son, we're going to start cracking down on this whole thing here.
Yeah, it's time to make some changes.
And then
God,
he told an unbelievable lie that Donald Trump was an informant working
He's a man on the
for
inside.
the FBI spying on Epstein. And that was such an egregious lie that he had to walk it back. So
Hold on, he claimed Donald Trump was there as like a secret high-level informant.
yeah, as an informant.
00 Trump was down there
Yeah, he's down
on
there.
the massage table.
yeah.
And now he's not opening up the House, so that discharge petition cannot be voted on. I mean, but even if that discharge petition makes it through the House and makes it through John Thune and makes it through the Senate, it's never going to make it through Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, but we have a president, and I don't have Trump derangement syndrome, but we do have a president that's committed to not making sure that there's an investigation into a bunch of child molesters.
Would you say there's a chance that Trump is trying to hide that investigation because he knows the people that would release it would use him as, like, they would maybe insert him more than he was into it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they might weaponize it against him if you let the Democrats lead the investigation. Now that's just I'm just playing.
No, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I think what Trump is hiding, Trump might be involved. I mean, with Epstein, people pretty much knew what he. John McCain's widow was being interviewed about Epstein, and she said that everybody knew what Epstein was about.
Yeah.
So it's not like a secret that what Epstein was about.
Yeah.
And Trump hung out with him for a long time.
Now, the thing I've always been told is he stopped hanging out with him after the first time Epstein got caught in Florida.
No, it was before. Okay, so there's two stories about that.
Yeah.
There's two that Epstein did something very inappropriate to an underage girl at Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other story is that they had a bidding war on a mansion in Florida, and that for some reason that ended their friendship. We really don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's like, damn pedophile outbidded me, son of a bitch. Yeah. Yeah, because didn't Bill Gates still hang out with him after he got busted for because he got like busted on record for pedophilia.
Yeah, in Florida. Then
in 2007.
Yeah.
Okay, so the cover story is that Bill Gates was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein in 2011. Mm-hmm. But there's an article by the Evening Standard, a UK paper, that talks about them doing business in the 1990s.
Okay.
So we have no idea of how long Bill Gates has been hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Gotcha.
I would say the big thing for me is who's hanging out with him after he got busted in 2007. Was that the first time Epstein got busted for underage stuff?
Yeah.
That would be, to me, a pretty important marker as to who's still hanging out with him after that.
Well, John Burns, the head of the CIA, hung out with Jeffrey Epstein.
Another undercover agent, son of a bitch.
Who's not a spy in this?
I think Bill Gates' wife came out and said he was chilling with Epstein after he got indicted.
Was this all just to capture Chris Tucker? Was this all just to bring down Tucker?
Let's take down Hawkins, man.
That damn Chris Tucker.
Yeah. They got Spacey, Tuckman, and fucking Hawking. This is all for that.
It was Spacey and Tucker and Clinton on Epstein's plane.
Yeah.
Now you know that something very aberrant went down there with those.
Aberrant's a good word.
Allegedly.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, true.
This whole podcast, allegedly.
Exactly. We're merely speculating. But yeah, I mean, so do you worry the kind of like appetite for justice will fizzle out under all kind of the current just people just, I guess obfuscating Zord, just being like, whatever, who cares? Let's move on. We got bigger fish to fry.
I don't think so. I mean, this thing has been covered. The Bush too covered it up. I mean, he was the guy that got the ball rolling on the cover up, and in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then Biden covered it up.
Yeah.
And Obama covered it up. And Trump covered it up. So it's been
the
covered
hell
up
happened?
by 4 different presidents.
Jesus Christ.
Must have been the sickest part. It's Project X, dude. They did it, dude.
Hawkins had the ski goggles on. Yeah, like, that makes it seem so horrible.
It's the party of the century. They can't tell their parents.
No. I mean, that's so damning if every single
4 presidents.
Yeah.
Where Trump got himself into trouble is he said he'd be transparent about it.
Yeah. No.
And Epstein is a Pandora's box. Once you open that, once Pandora's box is opened, the curse comes out.
Yeah.
And Trump thought that, I believe that Trump thought he could open it ever so slightly and slam it shut. But as soon as he opened it, the curse came out.
Yeah.
And he is hemorrhaging MAGA because of this issue. There's a lot of MAGA people that have just, the Trump administration and Mike Johnson have just been filled with so much bullshit that they've completely embarked on a different path than Donald Trump. I mean, they've jumped ship.
Would you say that the Epstein thing seems like a Mossad and CIA? Is it like joint to you, or is it just Mossad? Or
it's entirely possible. There's People say it's just Mossad, and I can't imagine the Mossad compromising American politicians on American soil without the CIA getting a cut.
Yeah.
I look at the Mossad and the CIA, at least the dark side of the Mossad. It's like the Gambino and the Genovese crime family.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both engaged in the same criminality, and they work together instead of working against each other. And Virginia Giuffre, her memoir came out a couple of days ago, and she talked about a prime minister that beat her up, and that was really vicious with her. And I knew Virginia. I got to know her pretty
Fucking
well.
Angela Merkel.
Virginia told me that it was a Hood Barak.
Fucking Merkel.
Sorry.
Merkel got in there.
That's terrible.
Laid the lumber. Allegedly. No, it was.
It was a Hood Barak.
Oh,
the prime
okay.
minister.
Whoa, okay. I was going to say, why didn't she name him?
She just said prime minister in her book, but she told me
That's
that,
Turkey, right?
Shit.
that it was a Hood Barak.
Is that Turkey?
No, he was the prime minister of Israel.
Oh, jeez.
And he was also head of Israeli intelligence at one point, too.
Yikes.
So that's how high this goes. It goes to the former prime minister of Israel, and it goes very, very high in American politics, too.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we're not going to get that.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell us that.
They're going to need like a Snowden type figure.
Well, and I think that's why Americans really want to know how corrupt their political system is. And I've been writing about political blackmail for 22, 23 years. And I think that our political system is rife with blackmail. Even if Trump isn't involved with Epstein, he's protecting a system that's heavily compromised. I mean, that's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that as far as I can, I mean, I don't really know much about the government, but yeah, if they can't release that, if they do have damning evidence that they can't release, it's kind of proof. I mean, their whole thing is kind of like, dude, there's nothing there. People are hyping this all up. It's not what they said it was, but I don't know.
There's over 1,000 victims that we know of.
There you go.
And
there's good counterpoint.
We know, we know that. And then we know the procurers. We know who a bunch of the procurers are.
What?
I mean, the New York Times has written an article on 6 procurers. And Politico has written an article on 5 procurers. So we could take those procurers and indict them on multiple counts of child trafficking, and then they would roll over on the perps, and then you've got a bunch of victims who would be willing to testify against the perps. I mean, this whole thing could be taken care of really quickly if the Department of Justice had the will. If Pamela Bondi and Kash Patel weren't lying their asses off, this could be taken care of.
Yeah, that was the one thing that kind of sunk them when they were asked directly, like, were you told to warn Trump if anything came up, kind of like indicting him or, alleging that he was involved, and they would be like, why are you even asking me this? Which is kind of like, dude, it's a yes or no, man. Just say yes. But yeah.
But that's also the thing where it's like, I'm not defending Trump again, but it's like, there's an idea where he could be like, the intelligence communities have been trying to get him.
Yes.
Some parts of the intelligence community have been trying to get him for a while.
For sure.
It's like, who knows, under the last...
Yeah.
If they like slid some fucking names in there of like, well, Trump did this also. You just add it to the fucking file.
Yeah.
And then when he's like, I'm going to release it, and he opens it, and it's like, oh shit, they said I did a bunch of shit.
They got me. The letter.
I don't know.
What do you think about the letter? No, true. That
But
letter.
he was obviously, he was boys with him.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. But say the letter's not real. That would have scared me. If I was a president and they came up with a thing, be like, yo, this guy wrote this, I'd be like, fuck.
Now,
this.
you guys think a letter is real?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I have a hard time believing that Rupert Murdoch would have published it without vetting it. And if you look at the birthday book and the other entries, it's consistent with what's in the birthday book.
Yeah.
So
you believe the letter's real?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Can he draw like that? That was like kind of fucking impressive, honestly. Taken out of the context.
I mean, he probably had a kid do it.
I was impressed with the handwriting. I don't have very legible handwriting.
No,
So
but even shaping it like the...
Yeah.
Also, the wordplay, again, just taken out of context, was, I thought, fairly strong. Judging it as a piece of prose, I was like, damn, I didn't know Trump had that in him. Blood of the poets coursing through him.
So I've been in this reality for a long time. I've been investigating Epstein since 2012. What do you guys think? I mean, what's your surmise on all this?
Part of me if I'm being honest, it's like there is something awesome about being like, yeah, all the guys on top are sick perverts and I get to take them down. So there's part of me that like not wants it to be true, but I get like excited for that to come out. So I try not to get too like, yeah, it's definitely the case. But the more and more people who really research it tend to be like, yeah, it was definitely a giant conspiracy that's being covered up. So I kind of believe that. I think it's yeah, I think there's a strong possibility it's a horrible, terrible conspiracy that's getting covered up by super powerful people.
Yeah.
So
89% of the American people want the Epstein files to be released. And the government...
Shout out to those 11%.
Yeah, I was thinking there's probably 11% are probably pedophiles.
That's crazy.
I think they actually they polled. I forget. I don't know what country it was in, but they were like, "Should we relax the child the pedophilia laws?" And I do think there were 14% of people. It was either pedophilia or child pornography. Were like, shouldn't be that big of a deal, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Well, Alan Dershowitz is on record saying that child pornography should be legal.
Yeah, dude.
He was one of Epstein's swell.
Maybe it was a podcast. Maybe he might have been doing a podcast. It might have been out of context. He might have been joking.
Damn, what's his argument for that? Being like,
I probably have that quote at some point, dude. We've done this for a million hours. I'm sure there was one night where I jokingly said that.
Dershowitz is a serious man.
I'm serious as hell. Fucking sell out. Fuck you.
Matt, stop laughing and get quiet. Matt, seriously, I know we fuck around a lot, but I want to make it a really important
This is an
point.
important thing I want to say.
You
You gotta legalize it.
It's you in 2017.
Legalize it.
Matt, seriously, you fucking stop messing around. I want to make a point. So why did Dershowitz say that?
I think Alan has some psychological issues
fair.
towards women. I busted him lying. And he was sued by, Virginia Giuffre's affidavit came out in 2015, and she said that she'd been molested by Alan Dershowitz and Prince Andrew and Jean-Luc Brunel. And Alan Dershowitz went on the offensive, and he was
like, I don't
talking,
think it's a crime.
What's that?
What was his offensive? Like, I don't think it's a crime.
Well, no, his offensive was, I never fly without my wife.
Oh, the pants.
And then the pants too. And then the flight logs that I had that I put up showed that he was definitely flying without his wife.
Liar.
So he told American lawyer that he only flew with his wife, and then I nailed him lying. I said, are you sure you want to go with this? And then he said, well, maybe I forgot, this girl. That.
Forgot to bring her to the sex island.
And then he changed his tune because
that's right. She wasn't there.
She would have hated it. Wait, so he did? He changed it and it was like, okay, so maybe sometimes I do.
Well, he changed his tune in a deposition, and he said that his wife flew with him on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. So, I busted Alan.
Dang.
And lying.
He had to change it up a little bit.
He had to change it up a little bit after that article came out.
What office does this guy hold? What does he do? I always hear his name. I don't know really what he does.
Well, I mean, he's a retired Harvard law professor, but he's made his name defending rapists and murderers.
Jesus.
Like Mike Tyson and O.J. Simpson. And he's got a long list of malignant types that he's defended.
Okay.
Klaus von Bülow. That's his thing, is trying to show innocence to the most guilty, malignant people on the face of the earth. That seems to be his thing.
So, how'd you get into all this? What got you kind of, seems to be like a crazy thing to kind of buckle down into. How'd you get into this?
I had a difficult childhood, and that's kind of the reason why. Mm-hmm. I have a lot. Before I even got into writing about this really weird shit, I had written a lot about children's issues, and my mom was a Playboy bunny, and I never knew my father. I was born in Minneapolis, and then we moved to Chicago where she was a bunny, and then we moved in with another bunny.
Whoa.
So when I was a kid, I was raised by bunnies. And and Freud's Oedipus complex.
Let's get into it, yeah. You're in the hutch.
Freud's Oedipus complex has been largely dismissed, but I really like carrots. I ate a lot of carrots, so I don't know what.
So it was just bunnies. So what would Freud say about it? Because there's supposed to be the fear of the father castrating you. You had no fear of the castration.
I didn't meet my dad till I was 16.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, it's kind of funny. My mom told me how bad my dad was.
Yeah.
My grandmother told me how bad my dad was. My uncles told me how bad my dad was. And then when I met him, he was much worse.
Oh, shit. I thought he was going to be the man.
Yeah.
Sounds like he was the man, dude.
So
probably jealous you're hanging out with bunnies. He's probably fucking pumped.
well, it was a good gig as a kid to hang out with bunnies. I mean, there wasn't anybody to play with.
For sure.
But the bunnies were always really nice to me.
That's nice.
And my mom went to LA. My mom and I went to LA. She split Chicago. We went to LA. And, but we lived with 2 women, and one of them married a mafioso, and one of them became a prostitute, and a high-class prostitute. And my mom ultimately married an attorney. So he was an asshole, but she got the best bet of any of the best deal.
So just to bring it back, so why was your dad's what was your impression of your dad when you finally met him at 16? Like, what did he do that you were like, damn, this guy is a fucking asshole?
But I mean, just he dripped of it. I mean, there wasn't a benevolent bone in his body. I mean, just a really nasty, foul human.
Damn.
Yeah.
So like you met him, and I'm sure you were pretty like stoked to meet the guy finally. And what did he do? Was he just like?
Yeah, I probably met him 10 times in my life.
Okay.
I've got a rare neurological disorder that I've had 2 major neurosurgeries for. It's called dystonia, and it disfigures people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only 2 neurosurgeons in the country that perform the kind of surgery that I need. One's in Jacksonville, Florida. One's at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And my last neurosurgery was about 10 years ago. And I called up my dad. I hadn't talked to him in a while. And I said, I'm going to have neurosurgery, and I'm going to have to get cleared before I go back to New York. So I'm going to need a place to stay. And he said, you got yourself into this. You get yourself out of it.
What an asshole. So you're absolutely right. The guy's a fucking asshole. Class A jerk.
His son's about to have major neurosurgery.
Hey, you did this to yourself, asshole.
You got to get yourself out of this.
Oh, man.
So that is my dad in a nutshell.
Yeah.
What a hard ass.
He died last year. I hadn't seen him in 20 years. I mean, we talked on the phone occasionally, but I went and saw him before he died. And
what did he die from? If you don't mind me asking.
Neurosurgery.
Yeah.
I think it was his heart that ultimately. But the guy, I got to admit, as far as alcoholics go, the way that he drank, all his brothers died in their early 60s, but he made it to his mid 80s.
Kept it rolling.
Yeah, I mean, impressive.
Yeah, the hate fueled him.
The hate will fuel you.
So my mom,
Damn, he probably doesn't even remember that that phone call from he was probably hammered. Like, you know what? You got yourself into this. Fucking get out of it. He was probably always like, what the fuck is my son's problem? Why this guy's so mad at me?
That's a fair point.
well, actually, he did get mad at me, and he told his wife that if I called, he didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Okay.
So
well,
you just can't beat unconditional paternal love like that.
Yeah, yeah.
True.
So my mom ultimately married this corporate lawyer, and he was a very violent guy. All the women on my mom's side of the family marry violent assholes or drunk assholes. And he was pretty violent towards me, and my mom was cool with it. And after one kind of particularly nasty beating I took in the living room, I ran away. I was 12.
Damn.
And I'm really glad that I didn't get that far when I was 12 years old, because a lot of bad things can happen to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then I was sent to, it was a military school. It was, I was in 8th grade. I was 13, so it wasn't quite, it was St. James Shattuck. Shattuck was the military part. St. James was when you got into 9th grade, you went into Shattuck. But it was the same kind of hazing. It was brutal. It was really violent. The first 2 books that we read were the Bible and Lord of the Flies. I mean, that was how that place indoctrinated. And it was really violent. I was a good student. I was a good athlete. And my mother and stepfather said that I didn't have to go back if I did well. So I did well. And they said, well, since you've done so well, we're going to send you back. And I said, I'm not going back there. And they said, well, you got to go back. And I said, no, I'm not going back. And they said, well, we'll put you in foster care. And by this time I hadn't done anything,
Jesus, man.
And then I ultimately ended up going to public school. But at that point,
so they didn't put you in foster care. You called their bluff on the
and then at that point, I started smoking weed.
Sick.
And I went from like a straight A student to failing classes. I mean, it was.
And damn, the weed was like 2% THC back then.
But no, weed's a perfect gateway into Epstein. Smoke a little weed, you go, these motherfuckers are pedophiles. I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Damn, so you started toking.
And then there was I tuned in, turned on, and dropped out basically. And
just off the weed, or were you taking anything else?
I was doing other stuff too. And then I got kicked out of a high school. And then I ultimately ended up at a high school that an avocado could have graduated from. I mean, this high school, they gave us
proposing a $40 million initiative.
Reading, PA.
High-level team from the White House, NASA, and other agencies.
We got a couple avocado grads. We got some avocado
Economic
grads.
growth and job creation. And I expect this plan to reach my desk by August 15th.
Some Haas avocados. So then you say you got through. They pushed you through.
Well, so at this high school, they gave us pinball machines, foosball tables, pool tables, and smoking lounges.
That's awesome.
To keep us there. They really, I mean, and I knew that some of my friends were dropping out, and I was a major knucklehead at that point, still kind of a knucklehead, but I realized I would never have an easier ride for the rest of my life than this high school. So I graduated from high school, and then I started hitchhiking around the country.
Jesus.
And that was really a good time. Back
What
then.
year was this?
I started hitchhiking around about 79.
Whoa.
And the 60s as like a cultural movement went from like 1959 through like the 70s. And when I was there's a book by Jack Kerouac called The Dharma Bums. And
It's going to be The Road, but whatever. The Road, I know.
Wait, what's it called again?
Dharma Bums.
Dharma
and on
Bums.
the road too. They're both about hitchhiking around.
Didn't one of his friends try to levitate the Pentagon?
I
think it was Allen Ginsberg.
Sounds awesome.
Him and his friend tried to levitate. They tried to meditate until the Pentagon started levitating off the ground. It was like a big thing during Vietnam.
Literally the dumbest dudes of all time. I wonder if the Pentagon took him seriously at all, though.
I think they probably did.
The Pentagon was probably like, they're outside. They're trying to levitate us right now. Everybody, hold on to something. We're going to get levitated.
It might have been Ginsburg. I
think it was Ginsberg. You're right. It was
Dumbest
Ginsberg.
fucks alive are outside. It's our worst nightmare.
Because there's people in Vietnam, they would get reports and be like, I don't know, like, what's going on back home? Like, I don't know, some fucking weird poet's trying to levitate the Pentagon. They're like, motherfuckers, jerks.
Yeah. We sent 2 guys out there to beat the fuck out of him.
You went to West Point, right?
Very, very briefly, yeah. A couple weeks.
Why did you? Why was it such a short tenure?
I knew I wasn't going to make it before I got there. The last like 2 months leading up to it, I was like, I made a huge mistake. And then as soon as I got there, I knew I made a huge mistake. Yeah, that was it.
Did it change your perspective on life? Is that what made you decide to become?
I mean, it was a giant, humiliating failure, so that probably helped.
Set you up for comedy.
I was young. I was like 17, and I experienced like a town-wide humiliation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my whole town was excited about it.
Oh, wow.
And 3 weeks later, I was on my parents' couch. They were like, "You fucking loser." Yeah,
I never thought about it like that.
yeah, it was a very.
I thought you just get out and be like, wasn't for me. But yeah, it's,
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that.
yeah,
You know, no one's gonna care. No one's gonna make fun of me for the rest of my life.
true, especially
Yep.
Central PA. Yeah.
Central PA, they were fucking pumped I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That book I'm reading right now, Vietnam Percasey or Percasey, whatever it's called. They talk about how he's just like he's in high school. Him and his friend are like playing, soldiers at like 13.
Yeah.
17 comes around. He's like, bro, send me to the Marines. And I really think, because back then they didn't have the internet. So like, they're like, I'm going to join the Marines. I think they thought people would be like, welcome, hero. Here's your quest.
Yeah.
And you're just screamed at on a bus from day one. Like, get the fuck, I'll fuck your mom, you little bitch. And then you're just like, they got there and they're like, this isn't at all what we thought was going to happen.
Well, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
That does happen. And
you're
West Point, the same. Now, the boot camp's not like that serious.
Yeah.
But it is different, especially when you're recruited for football.
Yeah.
Every time I would go visit there, I'd be like, this place is awesome.
Oh, like,
everyone's having a
fucking
blast,
trick you.
dude. This is all great. And you get there and they're like,
Bitch.
yeah. And I wasn't as smart as everyone else there. And there was a lot. I did not belong. So.
Because after my year of regimentation at Shattuck St. James, I mean, that was it. I was done. And I hadn't really been turned on to church or God or anything like that. And they were really heavy on God and violence. And I just kind of discarded everything when once I started getting high.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety with my stepfather. And then I had a lot of anxiety with that school because it was very violent. And once I started getting high, that anxiety just kind of melted away from me.
Tight.
And that kind of was my trajectory. But being on the road at that point was a really good time because you'd meet other Dharma bums, and we were all young and idealistic and looking for ourselves, looking for the world, looking for America, and it was really a good time.
Then how'd that bleed into the 80s, though? Because then the 80s, didn't that become a whole different whole thing?
The 80s was different. I got off the road when I was, I think about 82.
Okay.
I noticed one thing about my fellow Dharma bums. Dharma is the Pali word for truth, and bum is the American word for bum. And my fellow Dharma bums, as they got older, their Dharma was receding, which only leaves bum. So
I think that's how most bums, it's pretty typical. And then cocaine came around.
Yeah.
I did some of that.
Yeah. That probably changed the whole vibe. You guys became venture capitalists.
But I ended up at the University of Minnesota. They had a program where if you hadn't been to school in 4 years, you could take classes, and if you did well, you'd matriculate. And so that's what happened is I took classes. So I got very lucky that they had that.
Sure, Golden Gopher.
Golden Gophers, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, that football team has sucked since 1960.
Yeah.
But I
No, they got a guy right now. The coach is doing all right. Fleck. You gotta look
Yeah,
him up.
yeah.
Oh, you know about Fleck?
Yeah, I know about Fleck. Yeah.
He could row the boats, dude. They could be all right.
He's highly entertaining. He kind of reminds me of the Music Man, that musical,
Yeah.
where he thinks that he's making people think that he's actually got a good football team.
He's doing all right.
But Ohio State beat the U of M like 41-3 or something.
That'll happen.
Yeah,
They'll do that to everybody. But they beat Nebraska.
They did
Gophers
beat Nebraska.
That was nice.
But Nebraska's been pretty bad since Tom Osborne split. So.
Damn, dude. I didn't know you knew Ball. Ball and Epstein? Let's go.
This is the Golden Gophers breakout combo. So nice, man. I love this. So you went to college. You're back.
I took philosophy class. I liked philosophy classes. Had it been not for philosophy class, I don't think I would have been able to make it through college. But I majored in philosophy. Well, actually, it was kind of a rigorous major. It was philosophy and hallucinogenics.
Sick.
And
Damn.
and which left me very confused.
Now you have Matt's attention.
True. You might be a master manipulator.
Yeah, dude, you're Mossad.
Yeah, that will get you.
But I love, to this day, I still love philosophy. I mean, I started reading philosophy when I was like 15, so Eastern philosophy. And I think that I took one journalism class, and I thought it was the most boring thing I'd ever encountered in my life. Because I was thinking about journalism, but I took that one class, and I said I could never do journalism.
Good for you.
Little did you know.
Well, I ultimately was hired by the University of Minnesota Medical School to write academic papers on things that had to do with ethics. And that was a good gig. I did it for about 5 years, and it paid really well. I mean, because you've got a philosophy degree, they're going to do that or teach or drive a cab, one or the other. And I liked doing that. I kind of was, my colleagues were, the hypocrisy was kind of getting to me. And I realized that I'm a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites. But my colleagues didn't realize their hypocrisy. So I felt like I was a superior hypocrite than them. Yeah. And when you start thinking that you're a superior hypocrite, they kind of push you out there. Yeah. But something happened. I had started to moonlight as a journalist. And there was this woman who she ran an organization that helped prostitutes get off the street. And she was a little crazy, but she said that there was a serial killer killing prostitutes. And the Minneapolis police, St. Paul police denied it.
Not in Minnesota.
Not in Minnesota, yeah. The nice Midwest. Yeah. And so I went to the State Bureau of, I think it's something, they gave me a readout of the age, the sex, and the way someone died. And then I went to the databases for the Minneapolis newspaper and St. Paul newspaper, and I compiled a list of 38 women who had been stabbed, strangled, or beaten to death in like the previous 8 years. And it was pretty damning. And I went to and most of them were prostitutes. And I went to the cops and I said, "You still want to see it? There's no serial killer." Yeah. And I went to the Minneapolis police, and I went to the St. Paul police. And then the article got published, and actually a task force was formed to catch this guy. They never caught him. I think there might have been up to 3 of them, but anyway, they were never caught. And I'd written these academic papers for 5 years, and I'd written a book that was, I thought, a pretty good book, or I'd co-authored a book, and it got nothing done. And here I write an article, and there's a task force formed. So that's why I kind of changed gears and got into journalism.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You got to look into Austin.
Yeah.
You might have something.
I mean, the FBI is even cop to it.
Yeah. How many... Do they? I guess it's a hard thing to have statistics on. Do they know how many serial killers are like on average in a country in a given time? Is there like always like 5 or 6 of them kicking around?
Okay, so the FBI, when I was writing about serial killers, I haven't written about, since I'm writing about government malfeasance, it's so much more evil than serial killers.
Yeah,
but
that's bad.
But the FBI said that there were 50 at any given time. But I talked to other people that said that it's more like probably 200.
Dang.
Yeah. Was that around MK Ultra? Isn't there like a correlation? Like people try to.
There's a really good book written by a guy named Dave McGowan, and he showed that a number of serial killers were either like in the Phoenix program, which was in Vietnam, or they'd been somehow entangled with the government. Some had been. He made an argument that some had been through MK Ultra. And it's called Program to Kill. Really a good book. Yeah. Really a good book.
Damn, I didn't know that.
I'd strongly suggest it to anybody that's into serial killers and the government creating serial killers.
Dang.
Matt took LSD, and I've seen a darkness in his eyes since then. He might be Matt MK Ultra himself, but he's going to strangle a hooker.
I need a conservatorship immediately. I need to move back in with my parents. I should move my whole family back in with my parents and be like, guys, I can't stop thinking about killing gay guys in Austin. Take me in. That'd be nice, actually.
What was your jump off point? Did you go to college or did you?
I did. I kept going to college after West Point. I went to Elon, failed out of there, went to Harrisburg Area Community College, and then I went to Westchester University. And then while I was at Westchester, I started doing stand-up a little. And that was it. Just kept doing stand-up.
And you were kind of hooked?
Yeah, for sure.
I read Lenny Bruce's book, How to Talk Dirty and Influence People. And the first time that he got up in front of a crowd and got laughs, he said he was hooked.
Yeah, that's typically how it works. How about you, Matt?
Same thing. Yeah.
You got the
When you
bug.
get the room laughing, you go, oh, this is a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And then you bomb and you go, I fucking hate myself. And then they laugh.
Especially
again.
outside of that, when the rest of your life you're a giant loser.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes once a week where you're like, yeah, maybe I'm cool.
So when I was hitchhiking, I lived on the ashram of a guru. And I might have talked about that with you guys. When I got there, I was really influenced by Eastern philosophy, the Beatles, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, all that Dharma bums, all that stuff. And I went and lived with on the ashram of this Indian guru, and I was learning meditation and yoga. And one day I was talking to the guru, and I could have sworn I smelled cigarettes on his breath. Now, he was an enlightened being, a celibate. He was like our conduit to God. And I went to one of the people on the ashram, who I'd eventually call the pod people. I went to one of the pods, and I said, I could have swore I smelled cigarettes on Swami's breath. That couldn't be possible, could it? And he goes, well, here's the thing with that. He has to have one vice to keep him tethered to this plane of reality. So he can teach us. And I went, oh, okay. And
I bet you he has 2 vices. I bet you there's another vice coming,
and
it's fucking all the women.
yes, that was the second one.
Yeah,
and
of course.
That's best case scenario.
Every single time. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, there could be a third.
And then the third one
Guys'
was
butts, too.
embezzling money from his more affluent initiates.
Well, you got to be able to do it. It's the only way.
And I was thinking to myself, this guy must be very spiritually advanced if he has to do all that just to stay on this plane of reality so he can teach us.
This happened to Bernie Madoff. He was just trying to stay down in this realm.
And then I got kicked out of there, and then I hitchhiked to New York, and where I stayed for a while, and then I hitchhiked around a little bit. I ended up in Arkansas with some hillbillies. I lived with some hillbillies, and they were, in Pulp Fiction, Zed and his buddy in the cellar.
Oh, no.
They kind of remind me of Zed and his buddy. And they liked me, though. I was a novelty, the Yankees. So I lived with them for a while, and I worked on a road crew. We were building a highway. We were getting paid $3.50 an hour, which was really hard work. And then they were kind of getting tired of me. And they had a lot of guns, and I didn't want to be a mound in the backyard. So I eventually hitchhiked around. And then I hitchhiked to L.A.
So did you meet them hitchhiking, or did you just kind of like wander into there? How do you kind of fall in with a bunch of hillbillies in Arkansas?
They pick you up hitchhiking.
Really?
Yeah. And that's the way it was back then. I mean, people would pick you up hitchhiking, and you could, sometimes they'd put you up for a night. Sometimes they'd put you up for, it all depended. I was a good guy to party with. I was fun. I'm not going to rip anybody off.
Yeah.
I didn't have any psychopathic inclinations. So people were pretty generous to me when I was hitchhiking around. And then I ultimately ended up in L.A., where I tried stand-up comedy.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
you were saying that.
And I would get loaded and then do the amateur night at the Comedy Store and at the Improv. And it wasn't, sometimes I was successful, sometimes I wasn't.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
But I thought it was tough because at that point in my life, I did not have the self-esteem to handle bombing. And I think it takes a certain amount of self-esteem to handle bombing or self-delusion or something.
I would say more delusion.
Yeah, delusion.
Not a lot of steam going on.
And maybe a lack of self-esteem,
Yeah.
like a complete zero self-esteem to just be like, yeah, I know. After you bomb, you go, yeah, of course, I suck.
Yeah, I get done and be like, those fools don't know anything.
Yeah, you can also hit that a lot, for sure.
No, it's always I suck.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to get to the point where you felt pretty comfortable on stage?
I don't know.
At least, even just like pretty comfortable is like 14 years to where you're not like completely like, this sucks. I was just in Buffalo this weekend and I was pretty chill. I was back there like pretty confident. And I like thought back to, I think just like maybe 2 years ago, 3 max, when I did that place the first time. And I was like an absolute nervous wreck the entire week. I like remember it vividly. I had brought my wife and I had a baby at the time. And I remember just like, didn't talk to her the whole time. I was like completely out of my head with nerves. I'd be in the green room like, this is wrong. I shouldn't be here. Like completely harsh on myself.
Get that.
Yeah.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. But this was like, maybe, I don't know. I'd be like, I was just on edge completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, it's not that bad anymore, but I was like, man, I was kind of happy about it. I'm like, damn, I don't know. I've made some progress on some weird metric inside, but yeah,
Were
I remember.
you nervous when you did the Netflix show?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous. Yeah, that was a bad feeling to see like 30 something people there to like film it, and you go, oh fuck, I'm the subject of this thing. You go, this is a mistake.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Where'd you get that cup?
My friend.
Thing's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. She's Jamaican too, so it kind of makes it count a little
That's
more.
awesome. She's Jamaican?
Yeah, it's my wife's friend.
You guys are sharing gifts?
Yeah, it's my wife's friend. She gifted me this coffee mug.
Real bad man.
23.
Real bad man. She gave me the cup. It wasn't me.
And you've got this sitcom. Is it
One day.
easy
Maybe
to
one day.
interact with other actors?
Most of the people on the show are just our friends
Okay.
from Philly. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very low pressure.
Because some comics can make the leap to sitcoms and other ones can't.
We'll see if we can keep it going.
I
That'd
like
be
the
nice.
show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
As I said, it's
My dad loves it too. He's always
Really?
like, yeah, my dad. He's like, he watches it all the time.
Matt's in it. Matt's got 2 episodes.
yeah.
Yep. I've been typecasted. I'm just a cop.
He's a cop.
People want, dude. I've been asked to do a cop too. I'm totally typecasted.
Really?
Just cops for
I mean,
me.
if you
dude.
get that crew cut, you're fully a fucking cop. You're fully a cop.
I've only had one other person ask.
You guys have become stars since I was first on the show, and I've just become old and grizzled. You know, it's
I'm getting pretty grizzled
You're dealing
too.
with some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, true. He did
Take it
the
out.
road. Hit the road again.
it does. I mean, that reality is so dark. To tell you the truth, I don't really know how it. When I first came across it in Omaha, and I saw how many kids had been destroyed and how it had been covered up, I just said, these fuckers are going to have to kill me to stop me. This is just too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Epstein came along, and I thought, because I wrote a pretty good book on the Omaha network,
Yeah.
but we couldn't get it. People just didn't want to believe that the government would be involved in something like that. And then Epstein came along, and then that kind of gave me a second wind. And because I spent 7 years on that first book, and I was doing podcasts where people are asking me about the Illuminati and shapeshifting reptilians and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I'd worked so hard on this book, and nobody was buying it. And now people are buying it a lot. So because of Epstein. I mean, Epstein has given the book a resurgence.
Wait, so what would you say when you'd be on those programs? They'd be asking about like shape-shifting reptilians. Would you just be
I
like...
would say something pretty snarky, and then they would get upset with me, and then that'd kind of be the end of a congenial conversation.
That would kind of piss me off if I spent 4 years researching and writing a book. You know, like, what about interdimensional reptilian avatars?
Well, I was. There were these. I guess evangelical. They had a conspiracy show. I guess it was relatively big, and I'd never heard of them, but I talked to them like about a month before I was going to go on. I said, you guys should really read the book.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of apocrypha floating around on the internet about this. And then they called me up, and they were very happy, you know, evangelical. Hey, Nick, how you doing? And and I asked them, did you read the book? And they said, no, but, you know, we've been cruising the internet, and we know a lot. And then, like, one of the first questions the dude asked me was about the Illuminati, you know, and then there was some other crazy questions. I said, man, you obviously have not read this book. And
wasn't there some evangelicals in Florida in the book, or whatever? Didn't they say they were like a church group? That van of
the Finders.
Yeah, the Finders.
Oh yeah,
Well, that was just a weird cult.
Yeah.
And so the guy said, well, what? Politicians have been compromised. And I said, well, it's really kind of impossible to explain to you the politicians that have been compromised unless you really understand the kind of power that was deployed to cover this up. There were 2 grand juries in Nebraska and 1 grand jury in D.C. that covered this up. So I can name names, but it wouldn't have any meaning without. And then he started going, who are the politicians? Who are the politicians? And then because I'd been a little snarky myself. So that was the end. And they were going to call me back and thank me for the interview. And they never did, man. I'm still waiting for that call. I think I hurt their feelings.
Yeah, what was the name of that? Wasn't it called like the Boys something? Or that was the
Boys
thing
Town
connected to the Franklin scandal and all that stuff?
Yeah, the pimps were getting kids from the Boys Town, which is probably the most iconic, famous orphanage in the world. I was just talking to one of those kids earlier today. This kid, man, you know, he's been through hell. His mother was a schizophrenic, and he was put in multiple foster care homes, and where he was molested. And then he went to Boys Town when he was 12. And he was picked to be one of the kids that was flown around.
Jesus.
And this is actually in the book. He couldn't take it anymore because some of these pedophiles are very sadistic, like what happened to Virginia Giuffre with Ehud Barak. Some of these pedophiles are, and then after a weekend of very sadistic treatment, he went to they have houses and house parents in Boys Town, and he said, I can't take it anymore. I can't take. And Boys Town put him on a plane to Atlanta the next day and deposited him in a psychiatric institution.
Dang.
Where he was there for a year. And some of the other victims that I talked to that were molested at Boys Town, the exact same thing. They've been put in psych. Now, it's entirely possible that going through something like that could really mess you up psychologically, but it's also a great way to say, if this kid comes forward and says, I was molested, say, yeah, he's a head case. We don't worry about him.
Yeesh.
So, yeah, it's kind of it's been dark, but the thing is, I've been at it for so long. And with Epstein, I see light. I mean, I just think it would be, according to the Centers for Disease Control, 25% of underage girls and 5% of underage boys have been molested in our country. And people in the field think it's slightly conservative for girls and very conservative for boys. But if you just go with the CDC numbers, you got 50 million kids. Eesh. So I think that for us to put even a dent in that, you know, it'd be good if the government didn't aid and abet child trafficking.
Yeah.
So I think that that's the first step in kind of cleaning up our society. We'll never get rid of it, but we can definitely take a first step by making sure that the government doesn't facilitate it anymore.
That is a fucked up statistic, man. When you get into how high that is, that's terrible.
I mean, if you could take one thing out of society, if you could take child molestation out of society, the prisons wouldn't be filled, the psychiatric hospitals wouldn't be filled. A lot of people in those types of institutions have been molested as kids.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm really fortunate. There was emotional, verbal, and physical abuse, but I was never sexually abused. When I started hitchhiking around as a kid, though, I started hitchhiking not interstate, but just around Minneapolis when I was like 15 years old. And I'd get picked up by guys that would hit on me occasionally. And, I'd just say, stop the car.
Pull over. I got to pee.
Just sprint.
Yeah. Damn.
So, and like I said, when I was 12, when I ran away the first time, I mean, I would have been susceptible to something like that. By the time I was 15, I was just too cynical and angry
Yeah.
to be subjected to something like that.
For sure. Damn, that's fucking bullshit.
I gotta go back to, I think, was it in the Franklin scandal? Was Clarence Thomas at a party in D.C.?
Clarence is a perv.
All right.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hold on. But the point was, there's people you could get invited to these parties.
Yeah.
And now you're just on this fucking list.
But with
And you're like, damn, I thought fucking Clarence Thomas was there. I thought this was above board. You know what I mean? Or like,
Clarence isn't above board.
I don't know much about. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so Anita Hill, there was
Oh,
that.
yeah, I remember
She said against Anita Hill. Now there were 7 women that were ready to testify against Thomas, and actually there was one that had been subpoenaed. Her name was Angela Wright, and she was going to back up Anita Hill, and then Biden lifted her subpoena, and Biden said that he lifted her subpoena because she asked for it to be lifted, and she said that that's not the case, that he was lying, that she wanted to testify. So Thomas had done this to a number of women. There was a book called Strange Justice. It was written by a former, I think, New York Times or New Yorker reporter named Jane Mayer. And there was also, Thomas was talking to Anita Hill about porn stars too. I don't know if you remember that, but he lived right around the corner from a video store. And that's where he spent most of his time, is in the adult section. So
What? How do you know that?
Because Jane Mayer.
Someone
Hold
bumped
on a
into him?
second.
You bumped into him?
Hold on a second. That could happen
Justice-
to anybody. At least it was the fucking adult section.
True.
But you're not a Supreme Court justice. So.
True.
Yeah, and also, that was, God, that must have been crazy having to go in there. Just your regular Blockbuster, turn the corner, get the porn in front of everybody.
Yeah.
I remember poking my head behind the curtains as a boy and being like, one day it'll all
I'm
be
gonna get in
mine.
there.
No idea it'd be all on my phone. I was like, just let me in there, please.
He was head of the Equal Opportunity Commission at that point. So he was pretty much incognito. But
Gotcha.
Thomas.
Wait, so how'd you know he was always in the section, though?
What's that?
How'd you know he was?
Because she interviewed someone who owned that store.
Oh,
And said that
damn.
he was always.
Yeah.
That's where his first stop was. Probably his only stop, I think.
That stinks, dude.
And that dude makes decisions that affect every American.
Yeah.
And his wife is crazy too. I mean, his wife
He's
is.
probably driving her nuts.
I think she might have been driven nuts before, but she called up Anita Hill, saying that Anita Hill should recant her accusations towards her husband, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like Hillary.
Kind of like Hillary.
Yeah, Hillary made some calls, didn't she?
I think Hillary's probably made a lot of calls.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. I had no idea. I always thought it was truly a thing concocted to like take the guy down.
I was raised on that too.
Yeah.
That Anita Hill was kind of a witch hunt type thing.
No, there were a bunch of women.
What about Kavanaugh? Do you have any insight into that? Do you think? Because that's how it got framed to me. It was like they did it to Thomas, they did it to Kavanaugh.
So with Kavanaugh, I was on Twitter and some guy said, well, that woman lacks credibility. And I said, well, which woman? because there's been other women that have come out and talked about Kavanaugh. But it makes sense. I mean, people that are susceptible to being compromised, it can really enhance their career. And I think that, I mean, I see that all the time.
True.
Yeah.
Do you think
That's how me and Matt got big.
What's that?
That's how me and Matt got big.
Yeah.
Luckily, we only had to do stuff with each other. So.
Yeah, we just had to kiss in front of Clarence Thomas. We had to make out in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I wonder too, just playing devil's advocate, do you ever think there's a way to weaponize kind of victims against political opponents? Because I always wonder about that too.
That's entirely impossible, but...
Because the same people weaponizing child sex, you don't think they can be like, let's just send a woman out there that says this happened?
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible.
It looks like there's no, depth they won't go to.
It's rare though. He's a retired judge. His name is Patrick Schultz. He represented various Catholic dioceses in 500 sexual abuse cases.
Jeez.
And he was interviewed by the New York Times, and he felt like of the 500 cases that he'd litigated, that less than 10 were lying. So it's very rare. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
For sure.
I mean, if you're going to come out and say such and such molested me, the amount of fire that's going to be pointed at you is really intense. So I can see why there's all kinds of victims that will never open their mouths. And that's the other thing with Epstein. If Epstein gets covered up, those 50 million Americans that have been molested as minors, I mean, they're going to think that they have no hope for justice at all.
Yeah.
That they've got no voice.
Yeah, I mean, my idea now with it is it's going to be like a political football they're going to kick around. Like they keep talking about the JFK papers. They're like, we're going to release the JFK papers, and it's like maybe they already released them. I haven't heard anything kind of new or groundbreaking come out of that. So, do you think they'll keep it as that kind of like a carrot on a stick sort of thing? Like, I'll do it.
Wait, the thing with Trump is he makes a lot of promises, and I got to give it to him. He said that there would be transparency in the Epstein case, whereas his predecessors have completely covered it up and didn't mention it.
Yeah.
But as I said earlier, I think Trump thought that he could open up Pandora's box just slightly and then slam it shut. And that's just not the case with this. There's a lot of Americans, because the government shouldn't be covering up child sexual abuse, which is the same thing as aiding and abetting it. So the government, but we've got 89% of Americans that want full disclosure here. And, our government, the majority of our government wanted a single payer system when Obama did Obamacare. Mm-hmm. We didn't want all these HMOs that have become part of the Obama healthcare plan. And the government completely disregarded the will of the American people. The American people wanted us out of Iraq. Like 80% of Americans wanted us out of Iraq after a certain point, and our government didn't. I mean, a bunch of us, the majority want Gitmo shut down. The government doesn't care. I mean, the bank crisis. I mean, Americans didn't want to bail out a bunch of rich bankers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We did. So our government continually goes against the will. But this is a different thing. This is our children. And people don't think that my child isn't going to get molested, but I'm sure that many of the parents of victims molested by Epstein never thought that their child would get molested.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's like, I got a bad feeling about this kid.
For sure. Yeah, it's not on anyone's radar. It's true. I've been instructed, I don't think people do sleepovers anymore really like that. I've heard sleepovers are a thing of the past, man.
That sucks.
Yeah, well, it's just like, dude, I guess so many people now are, I guess now that this stuff's even talked about at all, people are comfortable enough.
I never even considered that. There were times I'd like go to sleep at my friend's house and my parents would be like, no. Now, not that they would think that back then, but now I'd be like, yeah, what the fuck? You think I'm going to fucking diddle these kids?
Yeah, dude.
I'd be so offended if they're like, you can't sleep over there.
I know. But I think now it's like parents are just being like, let's just not, just because you just have no idea. So they're like, yeah, we're just kind of doing blanket policy. Like, dude, you guys can, I think they'll let you hang out till like 11 p.m. and they take you there. And then they drop you back off in the morning so you can like kind of have a semi sleepover experience. You just don't know. It could be some weird uncle there. You know, it's like you'd have to really know the people.
I was visiting a friend of mine who lives outside Seattle, and her son was going out with this woman he met in high school. And the parents came over to meet my friend and the son, and vet them, which I thought was kind of somewhat responsible.
That's cool.
We live in a strange time. It's very different than, I'm like an antiquated relic, but it's life has changed a lot since I was a kid, and it's changed a lot since you guys have been kids too.
True that. Well, hopefully, man, good luck with that. Hopefully it works out and they get some kind of thing rolling.
Well, we started Epstein Justice, and it's a 501c3, and I think that we're growing. It's been a tough slog, but Epstein Justice is growing, and our plan, the way that it is now with Massey, they need a majority, as I said, a majority in the discharge position, then they need a majority in the House, and then they need a majority. Then John Thune has to give the thumbs up, and then it's voted on in the Senate, and then Trump has to sign it. And that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So what we're proposing is an independent congressional commission where we just need a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. We don't need any. We don't need a sign off by the president. And we're growing. It's been a tough slog, but people are so alienated. They do not think that they can affect change in their system, and they've been conditioned that way. But at Epstein Justice, we're saying, join us. We can affect change. We can make something happen here, because these crimes are just so horrific, and they've been so blatantly covered up that I think people are ready for a change now. They know something is really wrong with their government, but I don't think they understand the depths of the depravity of many of our leaders.
Do you think the average person could even handle if they did like, all right, fine, open it completely? What do you think the real effect of that would be in terms of like the everyday citizen or anyone really just kind of like glimpsing into it and having to like put that all together? I think it would just like crush them.
Well, what would you guys say? Would you guys be relieved to say that the system is getting fleshed out?
Yeah, I'd be like, this is definitely good. But also, too, it's like, yeah, it's just tough because if it is people who are either politically super powerful or like, billionaire class, like they're not going to let that happen.
Well,
never.
But here's the thing. There's 320 million Americans. And how many of if like labor's rights, that was a slog.
Yeah.
Civil rights, that was a slog. Women's rights, that was a slug. Gay rights, that was a slug. This can be done.
True.
Children's rights can be done. We can do that if we decide to. If Americans decide to do this, we can do this. It's really up to us.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't want to be naysaying it. I'm just kind of just thinking it through. Yeah, that's a fair point. And no, you don't really think about the kids' rights are infringed upon at all, really. So yeah, it's a weird one because there's not like a government. Well, I guess there kind of technically is. They're saying, but well, good luck. I hope that works out. Yeah. Really. I think it'd be good for people to know. Just like, all right, we gotta get a peek into this thing and maybe shift some things around big time.
EbsteinJustice.com.
There you go.
My brother.
EbsteinJustice.com.
My brother is an evangelical and is very susceptible to denial. And I saw him at Thanksgiving. And I said, that the government covered up Epstein's pedophile network.
Nice.
You know that, right?
I did the same thing at Thanksgiving.
Well, it's just one of those icebreakers.
Yeah.
that you do.
Yeah. Right before pass me
fun.
the cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
And he said, I know. And I was stunned because there's a guy that doesn't think the government does anything wrong.
Yeah.
I think what really helped it was Trump covering it up
Yeah.
or putting it away, because now all the Democrats are like Epstein. So now everyone's
Yeah.
kind of like, it was always like a MAGA thing to be like Epstein files.
Yeah.
And then when Trump was on the other side of it, of the left does whatever he doesn't want. So now everyone's kind of united in this, you know,
But I'm pretty sure that there are people on the left that are compromised too.
for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's why it's been covered up under two.
For sure. I just mean the people
Yeah.
that are paying attention.
Yeah,
to
they're
it.
reigniting the passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I started tackling this issue, no one, I mean, I would pitch it to editors at magazines in New York City, and I could see the wheels going around. They would say, well, you know, this is really a horrible story. I need to help Nick Bryant. Or the cognitive dissonance would come in, and I can write Nick Bryant off as crazy, and I can have a nice dinner with my family tonight. I mean, that was, and, you know, I knew most of them would be spineless, but I didn't think all of them would be spineless. And, you know, I had some really good friends that were very high up in publishing. And one of them actually apologized to me, which I thought was really cool.
That's nice.
Years after the fact, but he said, you
Yeah.
know, Nick, I could have been a better friend. You
I
know,
get it though. If I'm editing like Good Housekeeping and I'm like 3 fall decorations you can't do without, you're like, yeah, I don't know if that would fit.
But getting the Franklin scandal published was tough too, because I gave a book proposal to my agent, good agent. And I was summarily banished from that agency pretty quickly.
Dang.
And then I gave it to another agent who's also a very good agent, and he couldn't get anybody to sell it, or to buy it. So we finally got a small publisher on the West Coast finally bought it. So,
Nice.
and at that point, I had so much evidence. I mean, I had a grand jury's worth of sealed testimony and exhibits. I mean, I was able to prove it because of all that grand jury stuff.
Yeah,
So,
that's crazy. Well, dude, yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully,
Well, thanks for stopping by, man.
hey,
It's always good to see you.
yeah.
yeah, keep.
Whenever
doing it.
I'm in Austin,
Yeah,
I always
please
like
come
to
by.
stop by. Yeah.
Yeah, keep updating us.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find any real information.
Yeah,
about
that's
all
the
this.
big thing.
Well, you can always look at me as a beacon of truth.
We will continue to.
Yeah.
And I like your audience too. When I go on bigger podcasts, the bots come and they try to undermine my character various ways. But when I read the comments in your podcast, your listeners are pretty sophisticated, and they realize that the bots are coming. They call it the bots. So I get a kick out of that.